It's day 55 of 118 days of the Tudors, and today we're looking at 1539, and this is the year that Anne of Cleves comes to England to marry Henry VIII. 1527, when Anne is about 12, she is engaged to Francois, the heir to Duchy of Lorraine. Now this engagement goes on again, off again, on again, off again. In 1539, France and the Empire, the Holy Roman Emperor, have formed an alliance, as we thought they might do. Henry's excommunication has been reissued, so he's quite isolated now. Cromwell thought it'd be a great idea to get a foreign marriage that might provide some alliance for England. While Henry is still a Catholic and Anne of Cleves and her family certainly aren't Protestants, they have broken away from the papacy. So there's a bit of an alliance there for Henry. So in the March of 1539, poor old Holbein, if you saw yesterday's video, he's been all over Europe painting furiously. In the March, he's sent off to get Anne of Cleves painting. Many of the contemporaries all insist that it is accurate and that she was a great beauty. So the picture comes back to Henry. It's all agreed. Finally, they're going to work on this match. In the November of 1539, she starts to make her way to England. On the 11th of December, her and her ladies reach Calais. But the weather's so bad that they can't actually cross to Dover until the 27th of December. So when they reached Dover, they greeted really enthusiastically, lavish celebrations. She's arrived with her ladies. She eventually arrives at Rochester, ready to meet the king on the 31st of December. So now we're looking at 1539 here, but she's not actually going to meet him until the 1st of January in 1540. So we're going to cover that briefly because in 1540 there's a whole other thing we need to talk about. 1st of January, that's when we get this classic tale of Henry surprising her. She has been greeted by people all day long. People she doesn't know, and she is looking out the window and she's watching the bull baiting down in the yard below. And then this stranger enters, who Elizabeth Norton describes as being overweight and elderly, who approaches her, and maybe she's distracted by what she can see. Maybe she's just had enough of greeting people, who knows. But she isn't really interested and she ignores him and carries on looking out the window. And then, being Henry, he tries to embrace her and kiss her, so obviously she's horrified. She's got no idea that it's the king. Eventually he goes off, takes off all his disguise, reveals who he is. She's very humble and they go off and talk very amicably. But Henry's clearly put out by this. He had no idea that this was part of the chivalric game or tradition that Henry wanted to play, and really she should have been warned. Some have suggested that maybe she should have realised that nobody other than the king would have been bold enough to try and kiss the king's fiance, but really I think a warning may have been needed there. So Henry is put off and put out. She's described by other people as being of medium beauty, of being very graceful, of having wonderful manners. Henry clearly doesn't think so. Personally, I think maybe he just doesn't like the rejection. He is not interested. He's recorded as saying that he's ashamed that other men have described her so, and he likes her not. We see her called the Flanders mare a lot. I have covered this before. Henry didn't say that. She was never called the Flanders mare by any contemporaries. That was written much later on. He also doesn't like the ladies she's brought with her. They're not attractive enough either, and he wants them replaced with more attractive ladies. He also starts to question her virginity. He says because she's more rounded in figure, that's something you would expect of a married woman, not of a maiden. So he's also calling that into question. He's really not very happy. He really doesn't want to marry her, but it's kind of too late at this point. So on the 6th of January 1540, the wedding takes place and Cromwell gets the blame for that. We'll see what happens with Anne and Henry tomorrow, but also what impact is this going to have on Cromwell? I will see you tomorrow for 1540.